Hi and Assalamualaikum to my lecturer Sir Azman Ali. We are from JBA 242-2B. Today, we will present about the market structure. So, this is my group members from JBA 242-2B. First, Nurul Adilah binti HASNORRUL HADI. Second, NURHANI ELISYA binti ZAINAL. Third, SITI AISHAH binti SALLEH. Fourth, NURRUL IZZATY SYAZWANI binti ROSLAN. And last, only one man in this group are AMIRUL HAKIM bin ABDUL Aziz. The market structure has four. First is perfect competition. Second, monopolistic competition. Third is oligopoly. And last one, pure monopoly.
Okay, let's moving on to the next market structure, which is perfect competition. Perfect competition by definition means an ideal market structure which has many buyers and sellers. It is also known as a price taker, which means the buyer and seller has no power to determine the market price for the goods and services. In other words, they must follow the price set by the market. The example of type of business for perfect competition is fruit seller and agricultural markets. Because they have many sellers, if we go to the market, we can see many, for example, night market, we can see many people sell almost the same thing. So they have many sellers and many buyers. Okay, let's look on the characteristics for perfect competition. The first factor we can look on the number of buyer and seller. In perfect competition, there are many buyer and seller. Like the fruit seller, we can see many fruit seller at everywhere. And also it has many buyer as many people eat fruits, right? So next we can look at the types of the products sold. So perfect competition usually sells standardized and homogeneous products, which means almost sellers are selling the same or similar product and people can easily buy the products. For example, vegetables. So we can go to the market and buy vegetable at many places. Moreover, we can look on the control over price. So as I said previously, the perfect competition is a price taker and also it is a quantity setter. Price taker means the seller cannot set the price but the market who set the price. Because the number of seller in perfect competition is high, so if they sell their products too high, the buyer will not buy from them. And also because the government also interfere in setting the price of the products for perfect competition. So that's why they cannot set the price easily. But as they are quantity setter, they can control on the quantity. And lastly, the barriers to entry. In perfect competition, the the seller can enter and exit the market freely. Authorities has no right to restrict them from entering or exit the market. If let's say the seller don't want to continue to sell the products, the vegetables or the chicken, for example, right? So they can stop easily. They can stop whenever they want. The type of profit that perfect competition should earn in the long run is normal profit. This is because in normal profit, the company managed to get the price more than the average cost. So when the price is more than the average cost, the total revenue earned will be more than the total cost. Whereby when the total revenue minus with the total cost, the profit will be positive. So in conclusion, normal profit is the most suitable profit to be earned in the long run for perfect competition market structure.
Okay, now I will explain about the monopolistic competition. Monopolistic competition is a market structure which combines the elements of monopoly and competitive markets. Essentially, a monopolistic competitive market is one with freedom of entry and exit, but firms can differentiate their products. Therefore, they have an inelastic demand curve and so they can set price. However, because there is freedom of entry, supernormal profits will encourage more firms to enter the market, leading to normal profits in the long run. Next, for the example, the two types of business that belong to monopolistic competition are bakery shop like SDS Bakery and Cafe and Season Bakery and Cafe, and fast food company like McDonald's and Burger King. Now we move to the characteristic of monopolistic competition. There are some characteristics that shows the bakery shop and fast food company belongs to the monopolistic competition. The first characteristic of monopolistic competition is many firms. Monopolistically competitive industries are those that contain more than a few firms, each of which offers a similar but not identical product. For instance, fast food industries is quite competitive, and yet each firm has a monopoly in its own product. Some customers have a preference for McDonald's over the Burger King. This preference gives monopolistically competitive firms market power, which they can exploit to earn positive economic profits. Second characteristic is differentiated product. Each firm in a monopolistically competitive market sells a similar product, yet each product is slightly different from the others. For example, all the products from both SDS Bakery and Season Bakery are of similar nature, but there is no congruency between the products sold by the two as each one has a slightly different shape and taste. The term used to describe this is product differentiation. Product differentiation is responsible for giving each monopolistically competitive a little bit of a monopoly and hence a negatively sloped demand curve. Differences among products generally fall into one of the three categories, which is physical difference, perceived difference, and difference in a support service. The third characteristic is price maker. As in a monopoly, firms in a monopolistic competition are price makers rather than price takers. However, the firm's nominal ability to set their price is effectively offset by the fact that demand for their products is highly price elastic. In order to actually raise the price, the firms must be able to differentiate their products from their competitors by increasing its quality, real or perceived. Next is resource mobility. Monopolistically competitive firms like perfectly competitive firms are free to enter and exit an industry. The resources might not be as perfectly mobile as in perfect competition, but they are relatively unrestricted by government rules and regulation, start-up costs or other substantial barriers to entry. While some firms incur high start-up costs or need government permits to enter an industry, this is not the case for monopolistically competitive firms. Likewise, a monopolistically competitive firms is not prevented from leaving an industry, as is the case for government-regulated public utilities. The last characteristic is extensive knowledge. In monopolistic competition, buyers do not know everything, but they have relatively complete information about alternative price. They also have relatively complete information about the product difference, brand names like Season Bakery and Cafe and SDS Bakery and Cafe. Moreover, each seller also has relatively complete information about the price charged by other sellers, so that they do not inadvertently charge less than the going market price. So here is the diagram of monopolistic competition in long-run equilibrium. Based on the diagram, the supernormal profits had attracted in new entrants, which shifted the demand curve from existing firm to the left. Besides, the new entrants continue until only normal profit is available, which is at this point the firms have reached their long-run equilibrium. Thus, clearly shows that the firm benefits most when it is in the short run and will try to stay in the short run by innovating and further product differentiation. Last but not least is the type of profit that the company should earn in long run. In long run, the monopolistic competition firm only earn a normal profit. Why? The reason is that short-run profits and easy entrant attract new firms into the business with similar but not identical products, which is this will lead to a higher supply of production and cause the price falling down. As more firms enter the market supply becomes greater and the price and profits become lower. At the same time, the demand for the firm's product becomes smaller due to competition from the new firms that have just entered the business. As a result, supernormal profits will disappear.
The word oligopoly comes from Greek oligos, meaning small or little. When oligos is used in plural, it means few. Oligopoly is defined as market structure with a small number of firms, none of which can keep the others from having significant influence. There is no precise upper limit to the number of firms in an oligopoly, but the number must be low that action of one firm significantly influence the others. The examples of companies or type of business in oligopoly in the petroleum industry, which are Petronas and Shell, and for fast food company, which are McDonald's and Burger King. The characteristic of oligopoly. The first characteristic is homogeneous or differentiated products. An oligopoly may produce either standardized products or differentiated products. Examples of oligopoly that produce homogeneous products are the petroleum, steel, copper, and aluminium industries. Examples of firms in oligopoly which produce differentiated products are the automobile industry, household appliance, electronic appliance, and sports equipment. Next characteristic is few large firms or producers. The number of firms is few in the industry, but the size of each firm is large. The firm dominates the market because their market share is large. Even though there are few in the industry, they have the power to control the whole industry. For example, there are few petroleum companies in Malaysia, namely Petronas, Shell, Caltex, Petron, and others. Next is mutual interdependence and control over price. Oligopolies have some control over price because there are few firms in oligopolistic industries. Oligopolistic firms must consider their rivals' decision in terms of price, output, sales target, advertising, and others. This special feature is known as mutual interdependence. It is a situation when each oligopolistic firm's profit is not entirely based on its own sales strategies or price, but their decision depend on their competitors' decision. For instance, when McDonald's decide their marketing and advertising strategies, it will consider how KFC and Burger King might react. In other words, oligopolistic firms base their decisions on how they think their rivals might react. This is the diagram of oligopoly in long run. A kinkered demand curve can be defined as a demand curve faced by an oligopoly, and it is assumed that rival will match price cut but ignore the price increase. One of the key predictions of kinkered demand curve model is that price will be rigid even where there is a change in the marginal cost of supply. Supernormal profit achieved when average revenues exceed average cost at the intersection between marginal revenue and marginal cost. Type of profit that companies earn in long run, which is supernormal profit, where high barriers to entry. High barriers prevent new firms from entering and stealing the supernormal profit made by the incumbents and allows firms to continue to earn supernormal profit in the long run. The strategy works via existing firms cooperating together to maintain a high market price.
Now I will present about pure monopoly. Monopoly is a market structure characterized by a single seller, unique products, and impossible entry into the market or business for others because there are barriers to enter and exit. It is the polar opposite of the perfect competition. Now, two examples of the company in monopoly. First is Tenaga Nasional Berhad TNB, and second is Jabatan Bekalan Air JBA like SAJ, Syabas, or Science. Now I will present about characteristic of monopoly. First is single seller. There is only one single seller firm which make up the industry. Therefore, the firm is the industry. This one firm provide the total supply of the product like Tenaga Nasional Berhad TNB and Jabatan Bekalan Air JBA. The second characteristic is unique product. Products produced like electricity and water are the monopoly's product because has no close substitutes and therefore a monopolist face little or no competition. The cross elasticity of demand for the product is low or less than 1. Next characteristic is high barriers to entry. It is very difficult for new firms to enter a monopoly market or business because of the existence of barriers to entry. There are a few major barriers to entry which are cost is very big and high. Second is patent and copyright. Third, due to government regulation. And fourth is ownership of a vital resource like electricity and water supply. Other characteristic is firms are price makers. Monopolies are price makers as they face no competition. A price maker refers to a firm which faces a downward sloping demand curve. This means that the firm can determine the price of its product, like the MB or JBA. In order to sell more, they will reduce the price and vice versa. Last but not least, the characteristic is non-price competition. No competition with other firms because it's only firm in the market, so it doesn't have any non-price competition. So TNB or JBA doesn't need to advertise their product to increase their sales. Next slide is type of profit they should earn in the long run. In the long run equilibrium, extremely high barriers to entry enable a monopolist to make supernormal profits, even in the long run, and greater flexibility. The monopolist can alter its plant size to lower the cost in order to make production more profitable. A diagram for long-run profit of a firm in monopoly. Monopolies in equilibrium when LLMR equal to LLMC at point E. Next is equilibrium price and quantity is at PE and QE. And at this point, the LLAR is more than LLAC, which gives the supernormal profit to the monopoly shows by area PE ABC.
Alright, thank you for listening, and that's all from us. Bye.